Hey everyone, my name is Josh. I work as a software engineer. I'm based in London, where I work for a fintech startup company. A lot of my day to day work involves either developing new internal apps that we use in the business in kind of an object oriented style. It's very kind of business domain driven um, ways of writing software. Um, and a large amount of what I do is also cloud engineering and sysadmin as well. And they're both very rewarding things to do, but I feel like there are lots of other things in the tech and software engineering space that I can really sink my teeth into that I don't get the opportunity to do at work. Therefore, I'd like to kind of take matters into my own hands and start being a bit more proactive in my learning and understanding of things. And a large part of what I want to brush up on and what I think is a weakness of mine in terms of my knowledge is computer science fundamentals, data structures and algorithms, and also my grasp on somewhat lower level language such as C++ plus plus and I guess to an extent C as well. So those are some of the things that I really like to start kind of exploring. It's been a while since I've done things like LeetCode or HackerRank challenges. I remember doing them for Python, which is the programming language that I primarily use, especially at work. And I remember that actually a lot of the learning material on HackerRank was around, um, especially in Python, a lot of built in features of the language that kind of don't really exist, or you have to go through a few more hoops in another language to achieve the same thing that perhaps you could do on one line in Python. So I hope that using a website like HackerRank or LeetCode in a C++ context can kind of teach the same thing. So not only can I learn a bit more about data structures and algorithms, but also how those things can be implemented in the C++ language using the tools that you have available, like the standard template library, for example. So those really realistically are my goals. I do have a couple of other side projects going as well, which I don't know whether I'd like to record those. Um, One of them is just configuring my home server. So I have a Raspberry Pi in the other room somewhere. So one of the projects is around configuring that and kind of installing things onto it that I would like to put on there, and also securing it and locking it down as well. And also having another side project where I can kind of leverage a lot of my cloud engineering skills, but also to break into being able to write a project using another programming language, getting out of my comfort zone a bit. So ideally, I would really love to write a web app with a C sharp or kind of .NET API backend and a JavaScript / React front end. Those are two things that I'm not really familiar with. In a pure OOP style of language, I'm a lot more familiar with Java than C sharp. So it would be nice to explore C sharp as well. Primarily, though, I would like to sink my teeth into data structures and algorithms and how to go about leveraging those in C++. So I think even just from saying that out loud, what I would really like to do is to start getting a feel for outlining what I would like to learn in a given time frame, and I think kind of setting um, objectives, like learning objectives, something I would like to learn at the end of each of these sessions, which I'm planning on doing for an hour each time. I've already lost some time, and my computer just went to sleep because I was talking for so long. I've already lost about 30 minutes. I'm going to keep going until 8 p.m. Um, but yeah, uh, this whole process is just to keep myself accountable and also to kind of document and make concrete this whole journey, this whole process. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do an hour every day. That might be a little bit unrealistic with my schedule and everything like that. But I really will try and visit this as much as I can and to just be a little bit more switched on than I already am, to learn a bit more, and to really be able to use some of the things that I really am interested in by principle. I think would be really cool. I think quite possibly the simplest thing. One of my biggest issues is that what I would like to learn is, like I said, not only data structures and algorithms, but also things that are very specific to the C and C++ ecosystem. So, for example, I don't know the first thing about make files, but I know that they are used heavily with C and C++ projects to actually compile them. So, for example, that's one thing that really lies outside of the scope of learning. If I was to just be looking at data structures and algorithms, and even things like the G++ command line as well, I'm not really familiar. So there's a whole world of unknowns. But what I struggle with is actually um, getting a sense of where I stand in terms of, well, I don't think I'm an absolute beginner because there's a lot of core computer science fundamental concepts that I already know and I can bring into my here. Um, but at the same time, there's probably some fundamental algorithms that I don't know. Um, so, for example, I only vaguely know what a binary search is. Um, this is really embarrassing, but because I don't use these algorithms day to day, it's quite easy to forget these kind of things, even though they are very, very fundamental. So this is going to be a long road ahead, but I'm willing to go down it, and um, I just yeah, I'm willing to step out of my comfort zone as well. Um, preamble aside, let's actually dive in here and see maybe we can do a little bit of light reading on what a binary search actually is, and then maybe see about perhaps implementing something like that here in C++. So, my topic for today is a binary search. And what I've realized is that maybe I should not use my notepad as the primary source of taking notes. It really should be here. And what this is going to be is actually, should I call it README? I'll call it notes. I'll call it notes. Yeah, what I realized is that obviously you won't be able to see anything if I constantly just write in my notebook. So I'll have a GitHub repository here that I'll try and push to as much as possible, and hopefully use this to make notes and show off some of my implementations of certain things. So let's just check again what a binary search actually is. So, I mean, I may as well just look at the first link here. Also, what I don't want to do is just completely copy code from one location to another, because I don't think that really necessarily does anything. Also, yeah, I guess the Khan Academy link is a little bit slow here. Let me look at both of these. So a binary search, known as a half-interval search, or a binary chop, finds the position of a target value within a sorted array. Okay, so actually, maybe I do remember what this is because I can see here that clearly it's bisecting each time. I guess it's starting in the middle. I mean, what number is it actually looking for there? I guess 7. I guess if I went off just this diagram alone, I would say that it has a specific sample size, perhaps. It starts in the very middle of the array and checks to see if the number is the number that we're looking for, the target number, is larger or smaller than the lower bound, or I guess larger than the upper. Let's actually read the procedure to see what we actually do here. Okay, so given an array A of n elements with values or records, sorted so that, okay, that makes sense, and target value t, the following subroutine uses binary search to find the index of t in A. Okay, so we set L to 0 and R to n minus 1. Okay, so L is greater than R. The search terminates as unsuccessful. Okay, so L being left, R being right. T is our target. We set M, the position of the middle element, to the floor of L plus R over 2, so the middle, which is the greatest integer less than or equal to that. Okay? So, okay, so let's see what M is. Okay, so if the item in the array at position M is greater than T, then we set L to M plus 1 and go back to step 2. Or sorry, if it's less than T, we set it to M plus 1 and go back to 2. If it's that, then we set R to M minus 1 and go to step 2. Okay, and then there's some pseudocode there. Alternatively, the algorithm can take the ceiling. That's fine. Set L to M minus 1 and go to step 2. Or to M plus 1. Okay, and that defines our boundary each time. So I guess this is pretty fast because even just from your first like iteration here, you knock out actually quite a large amount of your array. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can see why this is fast. So your worst case performance is O log n. Your best case would be O1, which does make sense. So because you're not going like ON squared or anything kind of crazy like that, yeah, I guess this is a good way of finding something. Obviously, the downside to this is that the array must be sorted. So there's no, this is not a sorting algorithm, it's a searching algorithm. You differentiate algorithms by that kind of property. So this makes sense. I think I could probably implement something like this. The only way I would know how it would work is by having print statements or something similar each time to actually see what each variable is doing, which is fine. I think that's possible. So if we were to have a C++ file here, I don't think there's anything actually too specific that we need to do. The one thing that always confuses me about C++ is if I was to have like, let me just make a main function here, but if I was to have something like an int array, and even if I knew what the size of it was that I wanted it to be, yeah, so if I was to do something like that, then, you know, I can't, well, does it actually like it if I make an array and then leave it like that? Or maybe it needs to be a pointer or something like that. You know, how do I fill this array without obviously hard coding 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on? I don't even think that's the syntax of how you... Yeah, it cannot be used to initialize empty int. Okay, I guess you can do that, and then you've just got loads of other spare bits. The only way that I actually know about doing this, and I don't even know if it's the best way, obviously you can use an std vector, and then the C way would be, I guess, to use like memcopy, or memset or something like that. So again, like this is my question, but I'm gonna do kind of the C++ way of doing things. So I'm gonna include IOStream up here for the printing, and I'm also going to include vector here as well. And rather than make this that, I will actually have this as a vector. Actually, maybe this needs to be in... Maybe it needs to be in order. Also, a good habit I've been trying to get into in C++ is if I... Or to be explicit about the signedness of my integers. So if I'm going to say that this is... Actually, I mean, they could be minus numbers, but I would rather say unsigned. And then I guess we can have something that's like 1000 space. I don't know if you actually need to define the size of a vector as you make it. I guess that's something I can check. I feel like you probably don't, because yeah, it said the text flash, but it says dynamic sized arrays. So in the usage example, yeah, you don't need to do that. Okay, and then I guess we can assign some variables here, such as like well, let's go back to here. So n is our number of elements. So we can actually assign that right here. It is 1000, isn't it? We can set L to 0. Does the language let me do this sort of multi-line assignments? And then we can say that R is n minus 1. Okay, it doesn't seem to have any issues with that, so I guess we can do assignments like these on a line. I wonder, actually, can you leave something unassigned? No. Oh, yep, you can if it's you know, a pointer to something that's not realized just yet. Okay. So fingers crossed that works. I wonder if there's some sort of built-in run configuration here in VS Code. I will use G++ to do this. Okay, so already, do we have errors? No, we've exited with exit code 0, so that's good. That's good stuff. Right. so let's actually crack on with the algorithm then. So first of all, we need to fill this vector. With the elements that we want. So for, we can say unsigned I equals 0. The condition is that I is less than n. I don't know if that's I don't know if the sign is the right way around there. I think it is. And that's really newbie of me to say, but I really don't use for loops with this syntax that much. I think that's the right way around. Even though I literally code in PowerShell a lot as well, and I do use for loops like this in that language, and I don't even know. Okay. It might be nerves. It might be first time nerves. So we can actually just simply call array pushback, and we can just use I here. So that should give us enough. That should give us enough elements inside of the array. And then we already have the, so right now we are at this stage. So let's just copy that verbatim from the Wikipedia article. I actually might just use the standard namespace here because I don't want to type this every single time. Yep. Okay, and then we want to set M to the middle position, or the floor of the size of the array divided by 2. So this is not... I might need to import math to do floor division, because I don't know if you can do... Yeah, that's literally... Okay. So let's go up here. We will include math. I guess it needs to be math.h. And it might ask me to put that in quotes, because I'm referencing a header file directly. Okay, what's the issue here? No, it's fine. Guess the IntelliSense is just taking a little while. Guess that happens with compiled languages. Or it's just my computer being really slow. Anyway, we want to... Okay, so we now have a floor. So I want to set this to the floor of L plus R over 2. Okay, so let me do that, which is the greatest integer. So then if... Okay, so that's our initial... Okay, so our head, or is basically the search head, is actually equal to M as well in the beginning. So actually we might be able to do that. Then we need to say that while we actually haven't specified a target here, which I might try and be clever and read that from cin. Let me see how I do that. Might be able to do that, or isn't it actually the other way around? Yes. So while head is not equal to the target, then we want to do the following bits of code. We need to... It actually might be worth putting that into a function here. Because M is our like search variable. So yeah, this is actually the index on which to search. So it should actually be while the array head is not equal to the target. So get M is actually just going to be this right here. So I can actually, how do I? It's using the Vim copy bindings. And I don't know how I do it. It's not like yanking stuff properly. Let me just see if I can straight up copy and paste. So let's just keep that in a function. Obviously I need a semicolon there. So actually we don't need to call this directly, we can just say get mlr. So while our array at index head is not equal to the target, we need to say that if the array at head is greater than the target, and I've messed that up again because I need to put this in braces, then we can say that L is m plus 1, and actually okay, I don't know what the key word here is to actually get C++ to do the other, or like move to the next iteration. So in Python it's continue. Okay, it is also continue in here as well. And actually what I think we're missing is that we obviously need to call M here, so realistically I mean that probably doesn't there's probably a way that I can do it without like calling that twice. I don't know why it's okay, it's because I accidentally set these to const, which they are not. Actually, this one, to be fair, is const, so let me leave that as const. So then that's fine. And then, so I'm looking at step 5 there on the left. So step 5 over here is that if the array at head is less than the target, then we want to do the same thing again. So we actually set R is m minus 1 and then continue. And then once we exhaust this loop, the search is done and return M. So M is actually the index of the array where our target sits. So once we're done with this loop, we can say I actually might need to do printf here. Actually, no, I don't. It was at index m. We also need to count our iterations as well. So I'll just call this iters. And actually, obviously, that's a number that starts from 1. And we need to increment it each time we continue. Actually, to be fair, this can be 0, and we just increment iters up here. So let me delete that line. So m is found, it was at index blah. And took iterations to find. Then we can end that line. So let's see. Okay, so we increment iters, and then let's print how many iterations we have. So I'm sorry if you can hear, there's like birds fighting outside, and they do it literally all the time. So let's say array at, actually let me do a line or a couple of line breaks here so that we can space out each iteration. Array at index head is less than target setting L to M. Or we'll just say setting L to and I'll just put L in there and end that line. And what I'll do is actually put that, oops. Okay, I need to sort out the copying because I'm not used to the, I think I use Vim a lot on my work computer, and the copy bindings are different on there. Okay, so we'll actually reassign M. So setting L to L, and then we can actually copy that again and do that down here, but instead we replace that code with ours. So array at index blah is greater than target that. And then the last thing I'll do, just to make it pretty, is add a couple of line breaks at the end of the program as well. I don't know if this is necessary either. So this looks fine. I mean, we've implemented the algorithm. I'm just hoping that the looping and everything is okay. So let's run without debugging and actually see if we get any compilation errors or anything like that. Where should I look for my output? Okay, somewhere it's asking me for cin target, which I guess I can't do because it's in my debug console, or not. Maybe I'm typing it here. I want to find the number 638. Unable to perform this action because the Okay, does it really not support cin, or do I need to... Maybe I need to adjust the run configuration up here. Create a launch. Really? You really don't have a C++ one? I don't want to attach it, I just want to launch. My args, say 750, and that probably needs to be a string. Okay, maybe we can use this one. Better. A.out does not exist. Oh, do I actually need to compile it separately? A little bit confused here. How do I... Oh, sorry, I'm stupid. Maybe it will already exist? Because, I mean, if I... Okay, yeah, okay. I guess... Let me just use the integrated terminal over here. Let me just use the terminal. So we will g++ compile with all warnings my file called binarysearch.cc, and I'll just leave it to use a.out. Okay, something I'm comparing integer expressions of different signedness, which is probably something to do with target, or something that I've specified as just an int and not actually a unsigned. But I'm looking at it and I'm not actually using int anywhere. Oh, okay, while array at head is not equal to target, but then target's an unsigned. Oh no, it's not. Okay, target needs to be unsigned. It will probably error out if it's less than that. Okay, we should also probably check then that actually the target is not greater than n, or the array at n minus 1. So I'll just say can't search endl. And it's not called array, it's called r, like that, like a pirate. Then let's try that again. Okay, no warnings this time. A.out 743, why not? Or maybe it needs to be through that. Okay, segmentation fault. This is something I get a lot. Clearly I'm doing something wrong, but it's so generic that it's really hard to know. I'm going to be 1 second. I think I can pause the recording. I will be right back. Shit. Oh, I'm so annoyed. The recording does pause, so I don't know how much footage I've actually just lost here. So that's really unfortunate. I didn't think that pausing the recording actually worked because nothing happened when I clicked the pause button initially. That's so annoying. I'm gonna have to review the video again and actually see where we got up to, but I'm hoping that this still worked. I was basically just saying, and I'd just written up some notes, to be honest. Just explaining briefly what my understanding of the binary search actually is, and then a write-up about a segmentation fault, which hopefully I won't forget if I keep at it with the C++ or a language where a segmentation fault is likely to occur, then I will know. But damn, memory management is you don't realize how good you have it till it's gone. So I realized actually maybe one more thing we can do in code is that actually the standard template library has an implementation of this. So if we clear everything, why is this? Clearly I don't know my Vim bindings all too well, so I'm gonna have to do the cardinal sin of using my mouse. So let's include algorithm. And then let's look at int main. So let's go to CPP reference and actually see how we can use binary search. So let's do a similar thing again. So let's say unsigned target, and we read that from cin. So actually I'm going to need IOStream as well. And then let's just search it here. So let's do binary search. So it's defined in header algorithm. Take your first element. It must be at least partially ordered with respect to value. So they're using vectors there, so I'm not sure if you can just do it as arrays of primitives, like arrays of integers, for example. So maybe let's try this as well. So let's do include vector and say that vector or std vector v, or a vector of unsigned characters v, in fact actually we don't even need the braces there, so you can do that on one line. So that's populated our vector, and then we can actually call, maybe it's std binary search, yeah, std binary search, not stdd, but std binary search. Does it actually return a boolean then? Because it said true if an element equal to value is found, else otherwise. So and then we can say can we actually is not in the array. And then, okay, I guess we can't do that. Y is okay. And I need double colon there. Okay, and first is a function. Okay. or I guess that, okay, it's dot begin and dot end. So dot begin, end. Always does that in capital letters. Okay, so let's see. I don't know how we do this. stl.out. And then let's say if we've got an array of 1000, let's say 341. 341 is in the array. If we've got an array of 1000, let's say 23.9, yeah, is not in the array. That's pretty much instant. So there is a implementation of it in the standard template library as well. So obviously no need to reinvent the wheel. But yeah, that's pretty useful. So let's do just another section here. Is available in the standard template library. It is defined in algorithm. And then I'll just copy the link over here and paste that one in. So that's pretty useful. I think for next time, so I struggled a little bit with the Vim bindings. And I think also just my use of, I don't know, just getting used to typing all of this syntax. But who knows? I do need to get more comfortable with that. Guess the G++ command line syntax as well. I'll put those in there for the moment. I will commit these and we'll see what becomes of this. But yeah, I just, I learned something new there. That's all I can ask for. As time goes on, I'll obviously step more and more out of my comfort zone, and we'll start looking at things like HackerRank and potentially even debugging here. So stay tuned. Thank you.